Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about solving multi-step inequalities that have variables on both sides. Alright, so let's take a look at our different steps. So just like with solving equations with variables on both sides, our first step is to distribute and then combine like terms. So remember that beginning process is just to simplify. We simplify each side, then we can go into the solving. And that's our last two steps. We get all the variables to the left, and then we solve that remaining two-step equation. Remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to flip that inequality sign. Alright, so let's take a look at this equation here. So we're going to solve and graph this inequality. So I'm going to start by just drawing my line through the equal sign. And the first thing I notice is that I've got variables on both sides. I don't have any parentheses, so I don't need to distribute, but I am going to look to see, do I have like terms? So I've got one variable term and one constant term on the left, so nothing to combine. On the right, I've got one variable and one constant term. Again, nothing to combine. So now I'm going to work on getting my variables to the left. I want my 2x to come over here with the 3x. I want my minus 4 to come over here with the 6. So to move my 2x over with the negative 3, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Alright, that means then I can cancel these 2's out, and we're now left with negative 5x minus 4 is greater than 6. Now I need to isolate this. I need to get this minus 4 over here with the 6. So to do that, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Which cancels these 4's out. So now I'm left with negative 5x is greater than 10. Now my last step is to divide by a negative 5. As soon as I say that I'm dividing by a negative number, that immediately tells me I need to take this inequality sign and flip it around. So instead of it being greater than, it now becomes less than. So x is less than negative 2. All right, when we go to graph that, we have to come over here. I believe your number lines actually have the numbers on them. So I'm going to put my circle above negative 2. Because this is just less than, it's going to be an open circle. I can find my circle. And then I need all the values that are less than negative 2. So I draw my line to the left. So now I want you to come down here and I want you to try this problem on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, let's take a look at example number 2. This time I see parentheses. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute. I need to distribute that 8. So I'm going to take that 8 and I'm going to distribute it to the 7, or the negative 7x. Then I'm going to take the 8 and I'm going to distribute it to the negative 2. When I distribute, I multiply. Alright, so 8 times negative 7x gives me a negative 56x. 8 times negative 2 will give me a negative 16. So there's my negative 56x minus 16. Alright, now I look for like terms. I've got one constant and one variable term, cannot combine. One variable and one constant, can't combine. Now I can start moving things from one side to the other. I need to get my negative 56x over here with the negative 5x. I want my two x's to be on the left side. So I'm going to move my negative 56x by adding 56x to both sides. And when I do that, this cancels out. Negative 5x plus 56x is going to give me a 51x. So now I've got 35 plus 51x is less than or equal to negative 16. Remember, there's a minus sign there with the 16, comes down. All right, now I want to get my 35 over here with the negative 16. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. Cancels these guys out. Now I'm left with 51x is less than or equal to negative 51. Last step is to divide. I'm dividing both sides by a positive 51, so my inequality stays the same. I only flip it when the number I'm dividing by is negative. Doesn't matter that this up here is negative, it matters on the number that I'm actually dividing by. So I'm dividing by a positive 51, inequality stays the same. We get x is less than or equal to negative 1. All right, so now we're going to put our circle at negative 1. I've got that or equal to piece, so my circle has to be a closed circle. And then I need all the x values that are less than. So I am going to go to the left. All the values that are less than negative 1. Okay, let's go to the next page. And now I want you to try this problem on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. All right, let's take a look at another example. This time, I don't have any parentheses, so I'm not going to distribute. But I do notice that I've got several terms over on the left side. I actually have 3 terms there. I've got a constant, a variable, and then another constant. I'm going to combine my like terms together. I'm going to get my 24 and my plus 2 together. I can look at these as individual terms. I've got a 24, a negative 12v, and a positive 2. So I want my 24 to combine with my plus 2. So 24 plus 2 is 26. So when I go to the next line, I've got 26 minus 12v is greater than or equal to the negative 10 minus 3v. Now, this part here, if you wrote down, or if you wanted to write down your variable term first, you could do negative 12v plus 26, and that's okay. It doesn't matter which order you put them in, as long as you have the right signs. All right, now let's deal with our variables. I want to get this minus 3v over here to be with this minus 12v. So to do that, I'm going to add 3v to both sides. Cancels those out, and we are left with 26 minus 9v is greater than or equal to negative 10. Now I need to get this 26 over here with the negative 10, so I'm going to subtract 26 from both sides. These cancel out, and I'm left with negative 9v is greater than or equal to negative 36. My last step is to divide by a negative 9. I'm dividing by a negative number, so this inequality symbol has to flip around. So instead of being greater than or equal to, it becomes less than or equal to. These 9s here will cancel out, and we are left with v is less than or equal to 4. So now I can graph that. It's less than or equal to, so that or equal to tells me to put an open circle, and then the less than tells me I need to go to the left. I want you to try this next one on your own. Go ahead and pause the video now. All right, let's look at the next example. Last example that I'm going to do with you, and then you're going to do the very last problem on the next page on your own. All right, so I have parentheses, which tells me I need to distribute. And we have to be really careful with this one because there's no actual number next to my parentheses. I'm not distributing that 4x. That's before that minus sign. So we have to remember that the number that we're going to distribute is that invisible 1. put a 1 right here so that I can distribute that negative 1. So I'm going to distribute negative 1 to the 2x, and then I'm going to distribute that to the 6. So bring my 4x down, I get negative 2x minus 6 is less than 5x plus 6. Now I can combine like terms. I've got 3 terms over here, a variable term, and a constant term. So I need to put the like terms together. I'm going to just kind of split them up into their individual terms. I've got a 4x and a negative 2x. Those are my 2 variables that I'm going to combine together. So 4x minus 2x will give me 2x. Bring down my minus 6 is less than 5x plus 6. Now I can work on solving. I want to get this 5x over here with the 2x. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. And these cancel out. And now we're left with negative 3x minus 6 is less than 6. Now I want to isolate my x term. I want to get this 6 over here with this one. So to do that, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Cancels these out. And I'm left with negative 3x is going to be less than 12. My last step, let me put that out of the way. Okay, my last step then finally is going to be to divide by that negative 3. And once again, as soon as I see I'm dividing by a negative number, I immediately go to my inequality symbol and I flip it around. So instead of being less than, it's going to be greater than. So x is greater than negative 4. And now I can graph that. So I'm going to have an open circle around my negative 4. It does not have the line under it, so that's why it's open. And then I'm going to graph everything to the right of negative 4 because I need all the values that are greater than negative 4. All right, if you can turn to the next page, you've got one more problem that I want you to try on your own. Okay? I'll see you in class next time.